And also, the cows got, they called hollow tail. You could take a cow's tail and you could bend it. When it was normal, you couldn't bend it very much. It was pretty sturdy, but when they had hollow tail, you could just take it and bend it like you take a finger. And when the cows had a hollow tail, well, they just seemed to lay around a lot, and they seemed sickly. And somebody came up with a home remedy. I don't know if it did any good, but we take that tail and slice it open and kind of break it open a little bit and put black pepper and vinegar. They made a kind of a little mush out of that, and it might put some kerosene in too. Kerosene was done for a lot of things. Kind of made this, and then he just took some rags and wrapped it up and tied it up again, and next day that cow would be up and people would just swear that's what did it. But I don't know if that actually did any good or not, but that's what we did. And and like I said, most of the time everything was gravity. I mean, gravity fed from the water, the cistern, things running down, and that's how things were done. I remember my dad one time, a bull got in our pasture from the other side, not back down by the creek, but on the other side, and he'd been doing that for a couple of times. And my dad, he was pretty calm, but he got kind of hooned off about that bull keep jumping over our side, and they get in these fights. These bulls are getting a fight, and he went over there and grabbed a pitchfork, and I mean, he took off across that pasture over there, and I said, "Oh my gosh!" And that bull was not the most friendly bull in town. He wasn't a savage or anything, but he could charge you. And my dad went up to that bull, and my dad's not that big, but that bull was pretty size. He just took that bull started coming up to him, and he took that pitchfork and just whammed him right in the nose with those prongs. And I mean, he hit him good in there, and that old bull just kind of shook his head, and he just walked off and went out, and Dad chased him, and he jumped on back in the fence. And I don't know if he ever came back or not. I can't remember, but that was my dad. I mean, he took off with that pitchfork, and I mean, that's the fastest I ever saw him run. I'm just going through some of my list here and trying to check off a few things. That I don't try to repeat myself too much. I trapped a few skunks and a few possums, and they were these Victor traps. That was the name, and they had a V in there, and it was a piece of steel that was, as you push down on it, it got tension, and you open up the trap, and then a little key came over, and then a little disc came over, and you latch it into this trap like a huge mouse trap, but it was a lot stronger, and it was round, and you had to be real careful, because if you didn't have that thing caught right and you let that spring up, you wouldn't do that but one time because it hurt. But I'd go out in the pasture and find a hole and put a trap in there. One time I caught a skunk, and so I wouldn't mess with that skunk though, because I was trying to catch a rabbit or something. Caught a skunk, and you just don't mess with skunks because they're bad news. And somebody came down, I forget who it was. It might have been Dad or Uncle Fred or Bubba or something, I don't remember, but anyhow, they shot that skunk for me, so I didn't have to get to but I had to leave it out there for a long time because that trap stunk so bad. That skunk smell does not go away. And one of the big thrills in the wintertime was going coon hunting. And Uncle Fred and them had a couple, 3 dogs, and you go at night, of course, and sometimes we catch possum too, but we was trying to catch coons. And we had those carbide lights. They were like the miners wear. It was on the cap, and you'd pour this carbide in there, and then you'd pour water in it, and it would start to fizzle, and then it had a little, like a cigarette lighter, flint on the side, and you'd keep flint, and finally a blue flame would come out, and it had a reflector, and it would shoot a pretty good ways. I mean, it was pretty bright light, and those dogs would just take off and just run and try to pick up a trail on a coon, or sometimes, and we would sometimes just shine up in trees, and of course they'd look at you, and you could see those eyes, and they'd shoot that coon and get him down, and of course sometimes the dogs would run across the trail of a bobcat or something, and I mean, they would run almost all night long. You'd hear them down in the woods. We'd give up after a while because we just knew they wasn't on the trail of a coon or possums. They would got on a dead-gum bobcat trail or something, and so we'd just come on back. But we'd take those skins, those possums and those raccoons, and we'd skin those coons and possums, and then take that and then turn that skin inside out where the fur was inside, and then we had these 2 pieces of wood. They were V-shaped, and you'd put them in there, and then you'd stretch it out, and then you'd have a little cross deal at the bottom, and that's where we'd hang those pellets, or those skins, furs, and let them dry, and then we'd take them to town and sell them, maybe for 50 cents or 75 cents for a raccoon. Raccoons brought the most, but that was quite a thrill going there. And of course, during the night, you'd be running through there trying to keep up with dogs, and you'd fall off in a big old ravine type deal, and it was quite a challenge, but it was so much fun. We looked forward to it. It was a great form of entertainment for the men. I tell you, we enjoyed that coon hunt. We called it a coon hunt, but one thing I did add it, I don't know, just to do a little entertainment, I guess it got boring. I already told y'all this story. Mom, we had these tubs. We'd have one tub would be the scrub board tub. That would be where you put the scrub board in. It was made out of metal or glass, and it had little notches on it. And you'd put the clothes up there and take that lye soap and just wash it out and rinse it real good, and then you'd put it over into the rinse water. And then if it was white clothes, you'd put it into this tub would have this bluing in it. It just made it whiter, and then of course you'd have to change the wash tub and the rinse water tub off and on because it'd get too dirty, because that's where most of the dirt was accumulated. And at the end of this is all kind of done on a long table or seat, all lined up, and Mom would go and scrub those clothes. But at the end of the bluing tub, she'd always have a little bowl where she would starch the men's clothes, what needs mostly the collars and the cuffs on the white clothes, and a few things that she might have starched, maybe like a little blouse, or I don't remember all that, but anyhow, one day I don't know, foolish as I took a pair of panties and I starched them while she wasn't looking. I wrung them out, and she went out there and put them out there on the clothesline, and all the clothes was just, flapping in the breeze, and those old panties were stiff as a board. They would just go like this and like this. I don't remember if she got on my case or not. I don't remember. She might have laughed, but we never. It was kind of funny because she didn't expect it, and she wasn't angry about it. So I just want to tell you, my dad and mom were just good people. They were good to me. Just good people. Worked hard. That's true. But I never really got a real hard old whipping for anything. I've got a switch every now and then, and my mom would say, well, you wait till Daddy come home. That was the big problem, is that suspense of when he's going to get home, what he's going to do. But he never really, he'd scold me, and but he never really laid a hand on me that much. He never did lay a hand on me that I know of. Might put a little belt on my rear end every now and then, but nothing serious. I mean, nothing, just really nothing serious at all. And I already told you, I guess, about him saying, well, he promised me, he said, you're going to finish high school. And didn't keep me home from school to work in the fields like some people did. I worked till school started, and after that I went to school. So anyway, I've probably forgotten some things about the billet place, but I'll probably have to come back to them. But one thing I forgot to mention is I had 5 Uncle Henrys. I don't know if y'all, I had 5 Uncle Henrys. Uncle Henry Juergens, my dad's brother, and Uncle Henry Billick, my mom's brother, and then I had Uncle Henry Nitchman, who married Aunt Lena, my dad's sister, and I had Uncle Henry Bonner that married, I'm thinking here, married Anne Francis, and then I'm going to think of it again here, I'm missing one. It's terrible, I can't think of my 5th Uncle Henry, but I'll come back to it. But I had 5 Uncle Henrys. Oh gosh, that's terrible. Uncle Henry Nitchman, Uncle Henry Bonner, Juergens, Billick, Nitchman. I'll try to come back to it. You got to remember, in those days, we didn't have any concrete around the houses. I mean, anywhere we stayed, in Billick's or down when we moved to Holman before we moved to Weimar town, and everything was muddy. I mean, we just didn't have anything to walk on except mud. Maybe a few rocks here and there that stayed out. And by the front porch, way before you got in the house, there was always a mud scraper. It was just a big old blade sitting up there, and you scrape off your boots and all that. And of course, wore rubber boots quite a bit in the winter. And I think some of the ladies, I don't know about the men, but they wore called goulashes, and they were just another shoe. It was like a high top shoe, but it's a little larger, and it would fit over your regular shoe, and it had buttons on it like snaps, where you could keep your feet dry. And so people had galoshes, some, and wore those, and those mostly were not around the farm too much, but if you went to town or something and it was raining or whatever, we could do that. And